This is Titus with news and views. Did you hear those crazy racist Trump supporters were literally attacking the Capitol? They were breaking in. This is treason. This is sedition. Wait a second. Those weren't Trump supporters. The Trump supporters were actually listening to Donald Trump give a speech about a mile away. Meanwhile, at the exact same time, it was Antifa who actually came with a police escort, two big black SUV police escort vehicles, escorted five white Antifa vans directly to the Capitol. They began to break into the Capitol even before any of Donald Trump's fans even got there. Man, the timing of these Democrats is horrible. But you see, instead of who framed Roger Rabbit, in the Democrats' mind, it was going to be who framed Donald Trump. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You may have heard it first from me, but they framed him. They had 5 white vans of Antifa, led by a police escort, break in order to blame it on Donald Trump. And then they thought hopefully he will say something during his speech that will incite violence. Well, of course, it's Donald Trump after all. He's an amazing, godly Christian. He didn't say anything to incite violence. So they had to come up with the very best thing they could conjure up. And what did they get? Well, at the very end of Donald Trump's speech, he said, "We will march over to Congress meeting, and we will patriotically and peaceably protest." That's it. My goodness, he's inciting violence. First of all, that's the opposite of violence. Is violence peaceable? No. Well, is breaking into Congress peaceable? No. But the timing was totally off. While he was saying those last words, they were already breaking in. And if you went to the speech, you'll notice it takes many minutes to go from Donald Trump's speech over to where they violently broke in. For you see, Donald Trump supporters didn't even stand a chance getting there. Even if you could travel at the speed of thought, you still couldn't have got there quickly enough because it was happening at the same time. You know how I know it was happening at the same time? Somebody called in to a talk show and they stated, "We thought Donald Trump's speech was becoming rather flat, so we therefore left prematurely before Donald Trump's speech ended." And what did they find? Well, they went over to where Congress was meeting, and who was at the Capitol? That's right, Antifa. Antifa was already surrounding it and beginning to break in. But they said there were no Trump supporters. They were the only Trump supporters there. And I saw in videos all of these so-called Trump supporters with the Make America Great Again hat. If you looked real close, they were tattooed head to toe as if they were Antifa. And my friend said he even saw one of a video, a pedophile tattoo. None of them were Trump supporters, but they were pretenders. Some of the Trump supporters eventually did show up. Did they encourage these evil, satanic, Democratic support Antifa, viciously violent, breaking in? Did they support these guys? No, of course not. They did the exact opposite. They tried to pull them down and stop them. So what the Democrats tried to do, where they tried to frame Donald Trump saying he incited violence, and look at the Trump supporters trying to break in and start riots, backfired on him. Well, at least it backfired on him if you know the truth, but most people don't realize it. So they think we should impeach Donald Trump because he incited violence, when really the exact opposite's true. If you have never heard it, you heard it first from me, well, you'll have to subscribe and like and share it, but it's not just for me. It's the video itself is actually from a new podcast called Common Sense. And former New York Mayor Giuliani puts on Common Sense. That's where I saw the video. And I heard about the person who left Donald Trump and went over to the Congress area, I heard about that from, of course, Rush Limbaugh. Listen to Rush Limbaugh, listen to Common Sense Giuliani, and now you also can listen to me, Titus. Just think about it. I mean, we came from an incredibly great Christian American country where people literally risked their lives crossing the sea to hammer out what today we call the Mayflower Compact, stating you had to be a born-again Christian, a godly, tithing, active member to be a part of the government. And if you wanted to start a school, especially Ivy League school, you needed a degree in divinity. And now we're going all the way to where if you don't cheat, lie, and kill and steal, you can't become president. It's like, that guy, he reminds me of a Christian. I think we're going to cheat him out of the presidency. It's exactly what happened. For 4 years, they framed Donald Trump with a very simple phone call that was completely legitimate to the Russians. And they said, Russian conspiracy. They were proven wrong in 2020. And really, they were proven wrong the whole entire time. But nevertheless, they pretended it was true. And then when they were proven false, they just swept it under the rug and kept going as if they were never wrong. They should have been repenting and repenting endlessly. Nevertheless, they framed Donald Trump, and millions of people actually believed Donald Trump was completely guilty in the Russian collusion, and they believe Donald Trump's completely guilty now, when, as I already said, it was Antifa that broke in. It wasn't Donald Trump supporters. So what should we do? Well, don't call your congressman. In fact, don't call anybody. I would recommend the only thing left to do is to email, or if you want to call, the 9 Supreme Court justices. At this point, they're the only ones that can overturn the election. Oh, wait, we don't want to overturn the election. Donald Trump won the election. To overturn Donald Trump's election would be to give it to Biden. We need to rather call Supreme Court justices or email them and state, confirm that Donald Trump did win the election. And how do I know for sure? OAN, One American News, announced that Donald Trump won in the biggest landslide ever. He, in fact, got more votes than any human being has ever gotten in our entire history of our whole entire country. But of course, you wouldn't know that in America because the Democrats hid it from Americans. Only a few Germans knew it, and people in other parts of the world, if they watched One American News Network, OAN. I actually saw the shot of it on my phone, but I didn't actually see it because I wasn't watching that network. CNN, Communist News Network, and most of those other guys lie to you. It's time we start watching One American News Network, Newsmax, and NTD, and call or email Supreme Court justices, as well as the governors in the 6, 7, 8, or 9 states. If you include New Mexico, North Carolina, and California, it's up to 9 states that Donald Trump actually won. And that's why the numbers actually were, ready for it? Biden was, I believe, 148. Biden 148. Donald Trump 410. That's right. Donald Trump 410. Biden 148. Those were the numbers on election night. But who wants to win on election night? No. We're much more sophisticated than that. We want to win weeks later after a socialist, communistic software called Dominion steals the votes and then slowly, surreptitiously make everybody believe it. And then after that, everybody says, oh no, we don't have the authority to do anything about this steal. Well, what's the purpose of having state legislators and electors and voters? And then the governors and the other politicians stood up for the lie. And when the state legislators sort of scratched their heads, they just said, we got to go along with the lie. Well, they should have stood up and said, we do have the authority to say we're going to take the Trump votes and accept them and elect Trump electors instead of the lie, the Biden electors. So all we can do now is email the 9 Supreme Court justices. They can easily overturn it. It'll be pretty hard for the state legislatures to overturn it at this point. But as I said before, it's really not overturning it. It's simply stating the truth. Don't overturn it from a Trump landslide to Biden. No. Keep it the Trump win. Trump won in a landslide on election night. Spread the word. I'm Titus. There's news and